Welcome to Scaling with People, your weekly playbook for turning chaos into compounding growth. Each week, we go under the hood with battle-tested experts in all areas of business, from marketing to sales, operation, finance, and people, plus product and leadership, to unpack the plays, numbers, and systems that turn chaos into compounding growth. Learn straight from founders and experts who've done it and continue to do it successfully. There's zero fluff, just moves that you can steal immediately. This podcast is brought to you by Guide to HR, human expertise, AI-powered impact.
Welcome, everyone, to today's Scaling with People podcast. I'm Guinevere Query, your host and founder and CEO of Guide to HR. On this episode, we're calling out one of the biggest lies in business growth. Premium clients are not swayed by louder marketing. They are won by sharper certainty. Today, we have Esther Stewart on the call. She's the founder of CottnOwl and a strategist who went from Fortune 500 finance to building two multi-five-figure monthly businesses with one offer and one discipline system. She's here to break down how high-caliber clients are attracted by design, not by luck. This is the conversation for founders who are done glorifying hustle and ready to build acquisition and sales systems that scale the business without cheapening the brand. Well, welcome to the podcast today, everybody. And Esther, thank you so much for joining us. Tell the audience a little bit about yourself.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me on. I'm very excited to be here. Yeah. So just like you said, I used to work at Morgan Stanley and Merrill Lynch, was there for a little over 7 years, and then realized that I wanted to own my own business and that my revenue was capped in that role. So I started building CottnOwl. I've owned it for 3 years now. Stepped out of that corporate role 3 years ago, stepped into becoming a founder and all the exciting and fun and unexpected things that life throws at you in that process. And yeah, was very successful in taking what I learned inside of Fortune 500, implementing it into the online marketing space, and then seeing real growth for my business within just 5 months of leaving corporate. So it's been a journey. It continues to be a journey. So yes, yeah.
And as all of my listeners know, I love putting founders on the hot seat. So could you share with the audience a lesson learned while you've been building your business out?
Yeah, so many, but we'll pinpoint it to one. The biggest lesson learned, and one that I continue to learn even into 2026, where we are today, is that what actually defines growth is not just how many subscribers you have on YouTube, how many people find you online, but it's also the conviction that you have in your offer when you're showing up in those places. And that doesn't get spoken about enough, in my opinion. But that's been a real journey for me, because it's not just the subscribers and how many people are engaging with you, but it's how engaging can you be so that they're excited and want more and they keep coming back. So that's been, for me, from a growth perspective, that's really been the most exciting thing for me, because it just opens the door to so many other ways that I can continue to grow and improve and get better and just make everything convert better in my business.
I love that. I mean, as an entrepreneur, we build things because we have passion behind it, and we feel like that's going to solve a problem that we believe is out in the world. And so to have that conviction and passion behind it when you're interacting with people and realizing that interaction is the first time for them, but it might be your millionth time saying this thing.
Yes.
But it's the first time for them, and to come out. I think of that as like, I know some musicians, and there was a musician who absolutely had a love for their drummer, because at the end of this very long, almost year tour, that drummer, when you listen to the way he was playing at the last concert versus the first concert, it didn't feel any different. And to be able to do that consistently, night after night, week after week, month after month, like, that's hard. And you have to come out and remember that, like, this is a new audience. They haven't heard me. They don't know me. They don't know what I'm doing. So that's a great point. Great tip there. So you say clients don't buy excitement, they buy certainty. What does certainty actually look like in the buying process?
In the buying process, so the clients that I work with and what we set in place for them is to have conversations. Some people call it a sales call, some people call it a high ticket sales call, whatever you want to call it, is to have a conversation with somebody who knows about your offer and is interested in working with you. So to me, certainty is how you, the founder, whoever is on that call, is showing up to that sales call. So the certainty behind your offer, the certainty that you can help this client get to the result, to the outcome, whatever it looks like to work with them. So we work with a lot of coaches, consultants, doctors, practitioners. So they have a framework and a process. And so their prospective clients get on a call with them to learn about their framework, to understand how that framework can help them achieve XYZ, whatever that looks like for them. So where I see the biggest opportunity for growth and sales and conversions and getting all of that to work is the conviction that they show up with on the call. And that cannot be, you cannot fake that. You can't fake it till you make it, right? It's literally showing up and being so excited about your offer and knowing that this is the absolute best thing, so that when you're on that call energetically, that gets exchanged and you get your prospect so excited at the possibility of working with you to get them to say yes.
That makes a
That's how
lot
I
of
define
sense.
certainty. Yeah.
I love that. So what do you see as the biggest mistake founders make when they try to attract high ticket clients?
When they try to attract them.
Yeah.
So they are, I see this a lot, a couple of things, but the main one that I see is when they're using a strategy that's meant for low ticket acquisition. So I'll give you an example. So marketing for a low ticket offer is very different than marketing for a high ticket offer. When you're selling a lower ticket offer, specifically with ads or with organic content, you can do shorter reels, you can just do posts, you can do carousels, because the goal there is to get them into a sales page, which is typically longer, and then from there they can dive in and all things, right? When you're selling a high ticket offer, because it is a higher priced offer, there is always an exchange of something that is one-on-one, whether that's in a group setting where you are the founder and you're showing up in a group call with your clients, or whether you are one-to-one in a call with them as part of the service that you offer. And because of that, it requires a totally different level of relationship, of accountability, and then for them to be really comfortable with you. And for like a lot of our clients that are doctors, of course, that's very personal, right?
Yeah.
So you can't do that with a static image or with a 30-second reel. It needs to be longer content where they are engaging and listening to how you speak and having and building a relationship with you virtually before they step into your world. So for me, back to your question, it's really just making sure that the strategy that you're using is aligned for the price point so that that matches, and that way you can see conversions and have clients ready to work with you at a higher price point. I
Yeah, that makes
understand.
so much sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the lower price point is an easier barrier to get over.
Yeah.
So it's easier to kind of get the yes, the buy-in,
Yeah.
which is, I love all the different strategies you have for that. But then when you are asking for a lot more money, you do need to create that relationship and
Yes.
really help them understand that you are the subject matter expert. You have the solution they're looking for. It is going to give them what they need and
Yeah.
build that relationship. I love that.
Yeah.
When you're thinking about a high caliber, expensive, or premium ready offer, how do you
Mhm.
know the offer is actually ready versus just priced high?
So one, you need to make sure you're talking about if somebody has a high ticket offer and they want to make sure that they can actually sell this
Yeah.
at this price point, right? Okay. So what I tell clients and what I walk them through is this. You start with, I do it backwards, but it works really well. You start with the outcome. If somebody works with you, what is the outcome they can expect in the time frame of working with you? And once you define what that outcome is, there's different ways you can say it. You could say benefit, the value, I call it outcome, is all the same thing. You start with that and then you work backwards. So once you have defined what that outcome is, how long does the client then need to work with you to get that outcome? So now, is it 3 months? Is it 6 months? Is it 12 months? And you have to be realistic about that, because I see a lot of coaches, and we don't work with them, that do this. They want to just put a price tag on it and say, yes, we're going to get this result in 3 months. This is the price, this is the outcome. But they don't actually do the work to make sure that that's achievable. So it's so
Mhm.
important because, as you know, it's not just about what you're charging, it's not just about the outcome, it's making sure you can deliver that and that you actually do deliver that, so that you get the client testimonials, so that you get the clients that are excited, so they want to come back and they want to work with you again and again. So you start with the outcome, you determine the time frame, and then from there, you can then reverse engineer what needs to go into that program to get to that result. That can be recorded videos. It could be just one-on-ones with you. It can be recorded videos and group calls, right? There's all these different ways that you can do that. It can be a course. Some you can just have a course and you know they can get the result. Typically, that's not going to be a higher ticket offer. It could be a
Right.
mid-ticket offer. So that's the way that I like to structure it, because it just works really, really, really well. And then lastly, you can, and I know you're an advocate of AI as well, if you are questioning what the market is actually charging, like what's viable in terms of your authority, your experience, what your outcome is, you can put that into your favorite AI bot, and it can give you some ballpark ideas of what you can charge at a premium price point. One thing though, just to sort of pull that in is goes back to the conviction because I see this again and again. If you go into AI and you're like, hey, I want to charge $8,000 for this 6-month program, and you're so excited about that. But internally, you don't really think that you are worth $8,000. And this is something I don't help clients with, but it's so important. If you don't think internally that you personally are worth that $8,000, even though you know the outcome is, what happens is that conviction does not show up when you get on the call. And then you get on the call, and that's when I see founders and they say, well, they weren't interested. They weren't a good fit. They weren't this, they weren't that. It wasn't actually that they weren't a good fit. It was that they lost the conviction in their price point. And so when they showed up to the call, they weren't convicted in that price point. So what I recommend there is if you go and you do your AI research and it says it's 5,000 and you show up to calls consistently and you feel like that, you know it's worth that, but something inside of you is just not internalized that, then go lower. Go lower, sell it at that price point, get really good at selling it. And then once you get that confidence and the testimonials and you can fully step into the conviction that that's the price point, then you can revert and go to whatever price point you think it's worth.
I have to say that's exactly what I do on the profit advisory work. And I have the different levels. I have a DIY, so very affordable. I have group, which is that middle tier, and then I have the
Yeah.
one-on-one, which is the more expensive and premium. And when I first started, it was like people would pay for that. Okay. And
Yeah.
I had that, and I stopped and realized, okay, you know what? Actually, I know what I'm doing, and I know I can help these people. I have the outcome that they need. And basically we go through a quick, well, not quick, but we go through an assessment, and
Yeah.
we work on like 3 to 5 strategies that they can work on within a year and what that could bring for to them from a
Yeah.
financial aspect, and just help them get there. So everything you just said just totally lines on what I've been doing with my business, which excites me because I feel like, okay, I'm on the right track there.
Yes.
But also
Yes.
just for the listeners, it is doable. Everything she said,
Yes.
absolutely 100% doable. And it actually makes your life easier too. And
Yes.
the whole imposter syndrome, I think, is where that conviction does, come into play. So if you are feeling that way, something that I've really started to do is I just stop what I'm doing and I go, okay, I just analyze, why am I feeling that way? Why am I
Mhm.
showing up that way? Why am I thinking this? And I really just kind of really try to find the root cause of it. And then we all have our stories, right? From
Mhm.
how we grew up. And I try to rewrite my story because the reality is
Yeah.
that we have the experience and the knowledge and the skill set to help somebody, and us being afraid to demand or ask for what we're worth
Yeah.
and therefore not getting the client, we actually stopped helping them. So if you can also
Yes.
flip it too, like this is your opportunity to help somebody, don't stop yourself from doing that. That
Yeah.
could maybe actually help with the conviction too.
Oh, absolutely. I think one thing that really opens people's eyes too is especially the longer you're in your business, and you've already gone through this, I know. When you're in your business and when you first start out, when you think back to where you are when you first start and you put that really expensive price tag on it, and you're like, oh, well, people charging that must be so much smarter than me. And then you fast forward 3 years or 5 years or 10 years, and you realize that they aren't smarter than you. They don't know anything more than you. The only difference between somebody charging 15,000 for what you're currently doing and somebody else charging 2,500 is really just the lack of conviction and the lack of confidence and thinking that somebody can do it better. And once they tap
Mhm.
into that, then it's like, oh, well, no, they're not smarter than me. They're just better at marketing, or they're just better at, being more confident on camera. And then when you figure that out, 5 years or 10 years into your journey, you're gonna go in and double your prices again. So
Yeah, exactly. I
yeah.
love that. That's awesome. So, talking about positioning, you talk about attracting higher caliber clients by design. And what are the first 2 to 3 things you would fix in a founder's positioning today? And I know, I mean, this is very high level generic, but maybe like,
Yeah.
maybe let me reframe that and ask, what are 2 or 3 things that a founder can look at fixing in their positioning today?
So with positioning with a high ticket offer, I do go against what everybody says that's mainstream, and this is why what we set in place for clients works so well. And it's this. When you're selling a premium offer, and for me, premium really is like $10,000 or higher, but it can be 2,500. So let's just assume it's a high ticket offer. When you're selling a premium offer to a client, somebody that is ready to invest at that level is sophisticated, they're very knowledgeable, and they're very smart. And so because of that, if you go in with generic fourth grader speaking, and I can, yes, you want to speak at a fourth grade level when you're selling a $47 product, 100%, because at 47 you are selling to the masses. When you're selling a high ticket offer, you are selling to a very specific person. So when I think about positioning, it's how are you positioning yourself as the expert through the words that you're saying? And to me, that's really important to elevate the way that you're speaking, because right now, and I'm sure you see this when you're online and you're scrolling through the ads and everyone kind of starts to sound the same. That one, that's the introduction, the world of AI, right? Everyone's using AI for copy right now.
Oh
But
yeah.
the other is everybody's been told to speak at a fourth grade level. And because of that, I know that founders, no, excuse me, not founders, premium buyers are really craving something that is intelligent, that can help them get to the next level. They want something that's different. And so one way that we break we stop the scroll for what we say, what our clients say in their ads specifically, is you speak at a much higher than a fourth grade level, right? So you go in with the words that you know your client is actually wanting to hear. It doesn't mean you want to confuse them because there's a distinction. So
Right.
speaking higher than a fourth grade level, yes, speak at the level that you would have a conversation naturally with your peers, depending on where you are. But the other piece of that is when you are speaking to your ideal client, making sure that you are speaking in the words that they would use, right? And a lot of people get confused about that. And that's where AI can be helpful if you're struggling. Well, what are the insider words that they would be using? But that's really when I think about positioning, those are the two things that they can focus on right now. Focus on is what you're saying matching the level of the buyer that you want to attract? And if it's not, get, you can elevate your speech. You don't need to keep it at a fourth grade level. And then secondly, just making sure that when you are presenting and you are talking about your offer, that it is speaking in the words that they would use naturally and getting really, really making it not at a fourth grade level in simplicity, but making it simple for them to understand. Because one thing, and I'll stop here, one thing that I see again and again and again, it's speaking with hundreds of founders every single month, engaging with thousands, is this. Everyone wants to come in with these cute little, and I'm guilty of it myself. We want to come in with these cute little phrases to make ourselves sound different. And those phrases are great when you have somebody that's already in your audience and they know who you are. But when you are first putting out a YouTube video or an ad or whatever it is in that first interaction with somebody who's just discovered you, if you have a cute little phrase, they don't know what you do. So you want to make sure that you're articulating it really, really clearly on who you help and the benefit to them to work with you. And then after that, you can get as cute as you want. So,
I love that. And so I got to dive in just a little bit because
yeah.
as a math major who hates writing and hates words, like generally speaking, and all the 20 billion things one word could mean,
Yeah.
help me understand how I could figure out what language or what level my potential client is speaking at. Is there a way for me to kind of figure that out? And then do you have any tricks or tips on how I can practice and role play in preparation? Because like you said, I feel like I definitely, AI has been great, but it
Yeah.
definitely has dumbified a lot of things for all of us. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
auto spell, how many people can spell these days,
Yeah.
unfortunately, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm wondering, like, is there like an AI tool? Like if I throw it, like maybe it's a one of your recordings that then you can kind of train it to teach you how to speak at a higher level. Like I'd love to kind of
Yeah.
just dive into that a little bit, how to execute on that.
Yeah. So one thing that I think works really well is to record a video and not necessarily of you, but of your voice. So you don't have to be on camera and sit down and just talk about your offer in your words. Talk about your offer as if you are talking to a client that you have already interacted with previously.
Okay.
So and you sit down and you record that. And then if you have because my iPhone, for example, I would have to then upload the video into YouTube. So I'm just going to tell you what I would do. I would then take that video and upload it as unlisted or private on YouTube and let
Yeah.
YouTube generate the transcript. This is the quickest, the freest way to
Oh,
do it.
love that trick.
Let YouTube generate the transcript. Takes about an hour. And then once you have that, you can paste that into your favorite AI bot. And then that can help you get really, really clear on how to take what you're already saying naturally and organically into emails, into content for your social media, all the different ways. But that will allow you to make sure that one is capturing your voice, but two, that you're speaking in a way that your ideal client and that you would naturally speak at an elevated pace, right? Because
Yeah.
otherwise, as you know, if you just go in and you just say, hey, AI, this is my question, give me your answer, it's going to give you its own version of that. This way, you're telling it, this is how I speak naturally. I want you to take this. This is what you know about me. And now I want you to write an email sequence for me, or I want you to do this. That's how you do it elevated. So just make sure though that when you are recording, you're speaking at the level that you would normally speak to your clients.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder too, you could probably even simplify that. And with a lot of the different AI tools, I use ChatGPT. I use a bunch of them, but
Mhm.
ChatGPT is my main one. You can actually record or even have the the voice translator on
Yeah.
your computer and just automatically like it translates it and puts it into your AI immediately. So you
Yeah.
could probably bypass a little bit of that step by step. But I love that. I never thought about doing it that way. I think honestly, not to like, boost your ego, but out of 130 plus podcasts I've done, I think that is the best tip and trick I have ever learned from one of my guests. I can't wait to implement that myself. So thank you. I
Good.
love that. That's
Of
awesome.
course.
Okay, so let's kind of go into more systems, and over hustle. Like you've built multiple five-figure businesses with one offer, one system. Walk us through what that system actually includes. Like, how did you do this, and how do you do two businesses with the same thing? Or maybe the
Yeah.
same offer system.
Yeah, so I can walk through that very quickly. So when I left Morgan Stanley, I hired or when I was in the process of leaving Morgan Stanley, well, I still had my cushy six-figure salary. I hired an ads agency. And that ads agency was a referral from a coach that I was currently enrolled in. I was learning how to do evergreen systems, right? So it was a lot of money. Fast forward, in the process of working with that ads agency, I had my ad account hacked. And
Oof.
unfortunately, when that happens, Meta, because I was running Meta ads, was like, well, we don't trust you anymore. We're throttling how much you can spend. So in the
Yeah.
midst of losing, it was a $30,000 loss. And now Meta is
Oof.
telling me that I can only spend XYZ. I think it was $50 a day. It was a really small amount. So that's actually where the strategy came from. So with me now knowing I'm totally capped, and they capped my ad spend, I think, for a year and a half. It was a very long
Oh,
time. Yeah.
ouch.
Yeah. So I'm like, okay, well, I've given my notice. I know I'm going to be successful. I know this is the offer. I know I'm passionate about it. How do I take minimal ad spend but get phenomenal results? And so now I'm going to walk you through how we do that. So the first is we use advertising for our client acquisition. So I'll walk you through what I've done, but this is what we set up for clients. First, you have an ad where you're spending $30 a day. And the entire purpose of the ad, again, is written in a specific way. So again, elevated, speaking at the level of the client you desire to work with, written in a specific way. So I'm not into viral hooks. I think they're such a waste of time. What you want to do though is curiosity. What can you say to create some curiosity?
Mm.
And also be problem and solution aware. So that's the framework that I start with the ads. But what I've also done is I align. I have a copywriter now, she's great. But I align sales and marketing together so that the its script itself is both selling and marketing at the same time. So this not only stops the scroll, but it makes people aware of like what the offer is to a certain degree and that they're curious enough to take the next step. So that's step one. Then from there, they click and they go into a funnel. Now, as you know, a funnel means so many different things. A funnel is really just a way for somebody to learn about you and then become a client, right? For
Yeah.
simplicity. We
Yeah.
all have our own version of a funnel. This is my version of the funnel, and it's the funnel itself that I'm going to walk you through is not unique. It's a video sales letter funnel, but what is unique is the psychology behind it. So they see the ad written in a specific way. They get to an opt-in page. The opt-in page is there to just build, we want them to know, like, and trust. And so you can skip this step, and I've tested it, it doesn't work. You can skip where they click the ad and they go straight to a video. You've probably seen those yourself.
Yeah.
And the reason they don't work at a premium price is this: you haven't made your prospect pause long enough to trust you and to take their time. And the
Mm.
hill I will die on, I keep hearing people say that, is this: premium clients, they value their time. They love their money, but they value their time.
Mhm.
So what I'm doing there, what we're doing is we're making them give us their time, and we're also asking them to trust us because we want them to give us their name, their phone number, their email to get to the video. So if you
Yeah.
skip that step, one, you haven't asked them for their time, and then more importantly, or just as importantly, you also haven't put them in your CRM. So when you ask them that, now they go into your system, right? We use Go High Level. So now they go into a CRM, and the CRM now sends out timed emails and text messages, right? So those again, all sales, and it's selling and it's marketing at the same time to get them to know, like, and trust, to get them to book a call. So now they've opted in, they watch a video sales letter. So the video sales letters, through what I was always taught through the years, is that really the only purpose should just be to get somebody to book a call, and that's illogical. I actually think it's quite stupid, because if the purpose is just to get them book a call and they don't understand what the offer is or the value or
It's a
the
waste of
benefit of it,
time.
it's a waste of their time and mine.
Yeah.
So ours, the way that we craft them is actually a pitch, and it's done a specific way. Because on the back end of that, now we've pitched what the offer is, and it's like, hey, if you're interested in this, the next step is to book a call. But the next step in the way that we put this in the funnel, we actually put the price of the offer in the funnel. So it's like watch the video and then book the call. And then on the book a call, before they can even book a call, we have a long application form. And again, intentional. I know that they value their time. If they'll take the time to fill this out, they're going to show up. So like for me, for example, if somebody books a call, I have a 98% show up rate of everyone who books a call with me. It's very high. I think industry right now is like 40 or 60%, but it's because of all these little steps that we have in place. So the last thing, and I'll close here, is in the application process, while we're making them take their time, we're also letting them know the price of the offer. So this is unheard of. Nobody does this. And this is why, believe it or not, this funnel, when I was testing and I was limited to $30 a day in ad spend, and I didn't have the price in there, the book calls were minimal. And as soon as I put the price in the funnel, the book calls completely skyrocketed with just $30 a day spend. So this is where this funnel came from. And this is why this is what we set in place for our clients, because it just converts again and again. And then I just replicated that in, of course, for a different offer in my other business for a similar offer but it's not done for you, it's done with you. Right? And so we replicate it, the same frameworks, the same system, set that in a different ad account, and then let that go, let it run. So that's how that's the strategy that we set up, but that's why I love it, because it's buyer, it's a premium funnel, but it's focused on buyer psychology at a premium level.
That makes so much sense. I love that. Well, I have so many other questions in my brain, but I'm looking at the time and want to wrap up here. Is there any last final tip, trick, or tool or different change of mindset that you want to share with the audience as we wrap up today?
No, I think, well, one, and something you said at the beginning of the call, because it's so important, it's you can absolutely do whatever you believe you can do. So if you truly want to hit high income months in your business, it is absolutely achievable for you. Right? It's not a myth. It's not easy. It's not, I'm not going to tell you that you're going to do this and you're not going to make $50,000 in 30 days. Like that's not realistic. But I will tell you that if you have an offer that you're passionate about and that makes an impact and that gets phenomenal results for your clients, there is no reason in the world why you can't take that offer and create high income months on your own. So
I love that. Thank you so much, Esther, for joining us today. And for those listening, I hope you got some tidbits out. Like I said earlier, I think I got the best trick I've ever learned on any of my podcasts. So thanks again, Esther. And for those listening, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Look forward to seeing you on our next podcast next week. Till then, take care.
That's a wrap for today's episode of Scaling with People. If you got value from this conversation, do me a favor, share it with someone building something big. And hey, I'd love to hear your take. Drop a comment, shoot me a message, or start a conversation. And don't forget to subscribe so you never miss the bold, unfiltered strategies we drop every week. I'm Guinevere Query, founder and CEO of Guide to HR, where we help high-growth companies scale smart with people-first strategies and AI-powered systems that don't just keep up, they lead. If you're building fast and want your HR to move faster, head to guidetohr.com and let's talk. And remember, scale isn't just about speed, it's about people. Until next time, have a great one.